here with Math Fun and Games. Today we're going to do PanzerBlitz Situation 5, the Lutezh Bridgehead. This is a very interesting scenario. Let me read the introduction. German reconnaissance in force. Action against the Lutezh Bridgehead on the Dnieper. And it occurred October 10th, 1943. The Russians had thrown a bridgehead across the Dnieper River, which the Germans had to penetrate before attacking it. In this scenario, the Germans enter from the east, have to cross all three, the narrow portions of all three map boards, leave the western edge of the map board at the same time, wait 3 turns, and then come all the way back and leave the edge and get off the west edge of the map board by turn 12. So that's going to be an interesting situation. The Russians start set up on the middle board. So they start the setup. The middle board is board 1, so that's the hills and it's the woods. So I have everything ready. Let's just make sure I have the Germans ready. I know I set up the Russians already. Okay, there we go. So I have down here, I have the Germans. Let's see where they enter. So they enter the east edge of the board. I have them sitting off the west edge. So I'm going to move all those units up here to the west edge. Now I've matched up units. They're coming in groups of 2. So I matched up. So all the foot units, the leg units, are all loaded up on half tracks right here. And I don't know how I'm going to bring the other units in. I'm probably going to do like I did before with the armored unit and a half track. Armored unit, half track, armored unit, and half track. The Germans don't have much in this scenario in the way of infantry. They just have 3 rifle platoons. That's 1 company of rifle. And they have 1 engineer, which could come in handy. 1 engineer platoon. Looks like they have a mortar section, a light 81mm mortar, and they have 3 command posts, which really can't do much in this scenario. But let's take a look, and then it looks like they have 2 armored cars, and they have 1, 2, 4 tank platoons, and they have 2 heavy self-propelled gun platoons. Those self-propelled gun platoons have a range of 32 with a hitting power of 40. So let's take a look at the setup I did over here on the center board. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Let's zoom in a little bit. So it's at 59. Let's go to 65% of the board. Okay, here we go. So the Germans are coming in from the north here. Let's zoom a little bit more. I'm going to zoom in to about 68. Okay, that's a little bit better, I would say. So let's take a look. So I set going from south or the left to north to the right. South, you have a swamp, and nobody's going to be able to get through that swamp, so it doesn't need to be heavily defended. I just mined a town that was over there, and I put 2 blocks on the bridges across the road in case they decide there's a road through the swamp, but they aren't going to go that way because I get that mined, and then I got a couple blocks there, and I got a couple infantry units there, and a really good mortar unit. The whole thing is, if they try going that way and they hit the mines, they have to stop. If they hit the blocks, they have to stop. And that's where, as the Russian player, I can attack them. In the center, I have some mines, and in the rear side, I have a block on the main road, and I have some infantry. There's a big wooded area in that center. I used some wagons to slow them down, and I also have an infantry unit blocking a key point in the line. And in the big infantry, the big wood area in the center, I have two infantry companies. And then on a hill near the main road, I have an armored self-propelled gun, 12 attack factors at a range of 5, and I have the 122 millimeter mortar. On the right, I took one of the ridges and I just put 3 blocks, and I put some trucks and a second line of trucks and carts, and behind that I got some infantry. And it's a killing zone because on the right I have a 120 millimeter, 133 millimeter mortar, and I have a self-propelled gun. And before that, I have one unit in some woods, and then behind that, on the other height, I just have a mortar unit. Okay, and that's my defensive setup right here. So I'm going to go up north. I'm going to enter. Now, let me see, how am I going to enter? Well, I'm going to take the main road and branch off from there. I'm going to try to punch through. As the Germans, I'm going to try to punch through the center. Just make it simple. Okay, so I'm going to start off with an infantry platoon and a half track. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it 2 infantry platoons and 2 half tracks. Maybe. Nope. I'm going to make it 2 armor units. Actually, I'm going to make it 1 armor unit, 1 of the self-propelled guns, and 1 half track unit. Here. So the slowest unit is that self-propelled gun in the armor. Right. So I'm going to move them. Just start this off. Start where everybody cleared, and here we go. So I got 1, 2, 3, going up on the mesa, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 8, and I'm already on the center board. Hopefully the Germans in this turn, because the Germans are getting their butts kicked consistently. Now I have these 2 armored cars over here. Okay, so, and they can move 16. They can move, especially on roads, they're very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're fast, but they don't have much defense, offense, range. Basically, they can destroy some trucks or wagons. 9. That's not much through the way through. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Stop. The only units that they might be able to take out are wagon units over there. And I'm going to have, next up, I'm going to send forward, I got 2 really heavy tank units. And I'm going to send them forward with some infantry. I don't like sending tank units by themselves without infantry. So there's some infantry, a couple half tracks with infantry, tank unit. Question is, do I want to put, for the first time I've done it, put some infantry on top of that tank unit? Yes, I am. So they're going to be able to move 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now the infantry. 8. Shoot. You can't be afraid of battle, can I? I do have to develop the position. 8.5. 9.5. Okay. Did I leave somebody behind? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's riding on top of the tank. 9.5. Now, who can move forward? The tank can move forward. I'm going to move. Tank unit's going to move forward into that woods hex right there. 10. And these half tracks. So I have some engineers here. So I'm going to drop off the engineer on or next to that obstacle. I want to see how that works. And then I'm going to drop off an infantry. Yep. Move this to the side. Then I'm going to drop off. So I'm going to drop off the engineer next to the block, and I'm going to drop off this infantry right there, just to defend the half tracks a little bit. Oops. So I got to see about blocks. This is the first time in a while I've seen blocks. Let's see. Okay, so engineers cannot remove blocks. So I don't think in that case I would let the the engineers are gonna leave the vehicle. And where am I gonna go with them? I'm gonna go right there next to the block. Okay, let's see who else the Germans have coming up. Let's see, I have a whole bunch of command posts here, which are basically good for point values, but that's about it. You know, I have an extra half track back there. I want to check to make sure I didn't forget something, and I didn't. So I'm going to move forward. So this unit right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a powerful unit, but it is slow. And I have that move 8. It's going to move over there, and I have more infantry that can move 8. I'm going to move over there. And this unit right here, this self-propel gun, is going to go right there. Okay, so where's my other big guy? Vespi, where are they called? What is that 4032 called? Let's take a look over here. Yeah, they're the Vesps. Vesps. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But anyways, I moved it ahead too far. No, is a move. They have a movement rate of 8. Okay. So I can move it. Okay. Just gonna move it right there for now. Now we got a bunch of half tracks. These command posts really can't do much in this game except they do count to add to the victory conditions. So I'm going to stack them and move them. They're each going to be on their own half track. Stack them up and move them forward. I don't want to move them forward too quickly. I got to remember the goal here is to punch a hole through this line, get off the other board, and get off the other board as quickly as possible. Okay. And let's see who else. We have this mortar unit and one more half track. I'm just going to put them right behind there, right there. Okay, so that's it for the German movement. Do the Germans have a close assault? I believe they do. Oh, no, because they were... Okay, they don't. They don't have any close assaults. Because they were transported and then they left the transport. All right, so that's it for the German move phase. Now we have the Russian phase of turn 1. Do the Russians have fire? I'm sure they do. So where do the Russians have fire? That's the question. All right. So over here we have that howitzer. Oof, a 40 firepower howitzer. So they're going to have a 40. They can have a 4-to-1 attack against that infantry. Straight up 4-to-1 attack against that infantry, against the engineers, and they're gonna, hell yeah, they're gonna take it. And so much for those guys right there. Move them off the board. KIA. Oh, that was a good hit. And that was that howitzer. Now the second unit there is that armored unit, and it can fire against that other. I think the half tracks are considered armor units for purposes of fire, and it's going to do that, and that's going to be 6-to-1. I want to confirm and see what half. All right, so armored vehicles, according to this chart, half tracks are considered armored vehicles. So that means that this unit right here, that SU-76, so it's going to be 12-to-4, but it's going to be doubled because it's against armor. It's going to be 6-to-4, and that half track becomes a wreck, which further slows the Germans' movement down. Markers right there. Okay, and that unit is fired. What else can the Russians do here? They have another armor gun right here. 1, 2, 3, range of 3. That can attack that half track. It's just going to be a 1-to-1 attack. 4. Okay. So 1-to-1, they roll a 4 and no effect. At least they got a shot off. What else do the Russians have? Anybody else in range? I don't believe so. Okay, so that's the Russians' movement phase. No, that's the Russians' fire phase. Now for the Russians' movement phase. Close assault time. Okay. Oh, wait, the Russians did have movement. How about this howitzer back here? That would be a good fire phase. So that would be 40. 40 against 4 times 4, 4, 4. 12. So it'd be 20 to 12. The best they can do is a 20 to 12 is a 1-1 attack and no effect. That's a big gun. How about that little mortar? Mortar can attack a range of 12. How about that unit right there? It wants to attack that half track that's also carrying a mortar. 3. It's going to be 1.5 to 2. It's going to be a 1 to 2 odds. And a 3 doesn't do anything. 1 to 2 odds. A 3 does not do anything. Remove those charts. Put the pieces back. So everybody in that stack has fired. Control F. Okay. So now we do the movement phase. I just moved that one. Do I want to move anybody else? Okay. So I know the way that the Germans are coming. So I want to reposition myself. How about that infantry right there? It's going to go on the other side of that hill. And this infantry, do I want to move anybody else at this time? 1, 2. Maybe that those infantry right there might have a chance to get involved in the fight, so I'm going to move them over 1. Okay, they're on the road 2. How about, I have a couple carts over there. 1, 2, 3. And by the time these 2 carts over here get to the battle space, the Germans are going to be long gone, so there's no point in moving them. How about this truck? I can move the truck. 3, 7, 9, 10. And I can move the cart. 1, 2, 2. Okay. And I can move this unit. 1. No, I want to go on the road. 1, 2, 3. It's kind of trapped there. Oh, is there any other where I can go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How about that unit? That unit needs transportation. By the time I got it loaded, well, I could put it on that hill right there. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and move that. Truck's going to go right there. Can't load yet. This infantry unit is going to move on the road right. Oh, this infantry unit right here is going to move to the side, blocking the road. This infantry unit is going to go right here. And let's see if I have any, and I think that's going to be it for the Russian movement phase. Now for the Russian close assault phase, how am I going to break this up? 8, and 12. Okay, so that's defense at 20. So that would be a 1 to 2 minus 1. 1 to 2 minus 1. Yeah, I'm going to do it. 1 to 2 minus 1, 5. Okay, so no effect from those 2 units close assault. And I think that's going to be it for the German turn here. All right, so let me remove some of these markers for. Okay, so it begins. The reconnaissance and force against the Lutezh bridgehead has begun. I look forward to seeing you for turn 2. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.